Driving to save the world from the evil Decepticons, the heroic Autobots are led by Optimus Prime. He's more than meets the eye. He's a Rohan in disguise.
Rohan? Who is this guy? Rohan? The one and only Rohan!
Thank you guys, hello everybody and welcome back to Rohan's Corner. It feels like a long time since we've been here. Coming back to you with another third-party Legends review. This time it is none other than Magic Square Shadow Master, who is of course Generation 1 Mirage. So let's get into it, shall we? Alrighty, so I picked up Mirage for the princely sum of around £30, £50, £31 from ShowZ, where I have a loyalty discount and get a few bucks extra off. But it's worth noting that you can now actually purchase your Magic Square Transformers, third-party Transformers, directly from the manufacturer themselves, Magic Square, and the shipping time, as was evidenced by Simon Clements recently, is ridiculously fast. So he managed to get his a couple of days, 2 or 3 days before I received mine from ShowZ. However, I would like to point out that ShowZ are now shipping with this lovely backing card, which has their store details on it, and Optimus Prime, presumably other characters to follow on there, as well as the robot decals there, Autobot Decepticon decals for your third-party Transformers. So, in terms of the box, it is the traditional lovely black style box we're used to seeing for Magic Square's newer figures, with Ratchet, Ironhide, Jazz, all having the same sort of stylization of box recently, with this great square design and look of Mirage, lovely artwork with the disappearing invisibility shield area there that we've come to know from the cartoon. Very good incarnation of him. Magic Square on the top, on the side Magic Square MS-B43, on this side we've got barcode, and on the bottom we've got warning. Right on the back here we have MS-B43 Shadow Master 26, which is his number, made in China, blah 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 blah. Only suitable for persons over 16 years of age. So anyway, let's get into it. Alright, so in the box you get, obviously, Mirage himself with his rifle and his missile launcher, but you also get, as per usual, your collector's card, instruction manual, and just the one accessory this time, which is a smiling face for Mirage, which I haven't tried yet, but it looks a little bit smiley. Let's open him up. And you can see here is the missile launcher. It comes on a rather nice ball peg, so you can swivel it around front, backwards. Left and right has a little bit of motion, not loads, but it's still useful. His rifle comes in this light blue nylon plastic color, which we are going to talk about when we get to the figure, and Mirage himself. Now, as far as the bot goes, he is a lovely incarnation of the Generation 1 character. Let's look at the styling next to the G1 character design, and it's pretty much smack on. We can see all the nice white painted parts in terms of the thighs and the forearms and the chest, although I do have a little bit of paint splurge there coming from the pin joint area, and you can just see a little bit here grey on the white area. There are a few other areas, like on the side here of his sitanes, where there's a little bit of white paint has come on to the side there, which isn't great, but it's not the end of the world. Other than that, I can't really complain in terms of QC issues. It is the traditional Magic Square nylon plastic, so it does have that sort of matte finish to it and that little softer feel to elements, and there are lots of little tabs around that you do need to move in and out. What I would say is his joints are ridiculously stiff, so for example, moving up his shoulder there moves pretty much his whole chest piece, abdomen around, because it is really stiff. It's on a hinge joint which is on a rotation, and the two together are quite tight. The same slightly smoother on the other side. The hands are really tiny on this guy. Coming back to the colouring, we've got the light blue plastic, which is used for around the chest area, and also the feet and the kneecaps, which actually, when you look at it, and also for the spoiler as well, which we'll come on to in the vehicle mode. When you look at it, it looks a little bit out of place, but actually when you look at the cartoon design and how he looks, it actually sits in quite well and actually fits in with his face as well. So there we go. Let's put his shoulder cannon on, his rocket launcher, which can go on either side and can be angled up and left and right, and his gun. And there he is. He looks great in my opinion. The paintwork to the chest area looks really good with the red and the black in there. The black shoulders also painted quite nicely. He tidies up. There aren't too many areas where you think, oh, it looks a bit panelly or a bit gappy. There's a couple of bits where it connects together. For example, picks together here, where it's a Magic Square tabby situation. I thought that the chest originally on the pictures looked a little bit like it was protruding and some gappage behind it, but actually it looks fine. Down the side profile, he tidies up really nicely, not much of a backpack at all. And round the back, there are a couple of small gaps here and here, but other than that, it looks really good. Little areas here and here, but you can see there's a little steering wheel popping out there, which is quite cool. I think it looks phenomenal, really, for what you're talking about is Voyager class money. It's right on the money compared to what we've had from Hasbro or other third parties. There have been quite a few comparisons with Transform Element, and yeah, I would say it probably is very similar or on par with that. Significantly better in my opinion than New Age, but everybody's entitled to their own opinion, hey? Alright, so in true Through the Generations style, we have a comparison with some other Mirages. I don't own the Combiner Wars mold, and I also don't have the RID or Machine Wars mold, which I had with RID Skids. Unfortunately, I sold that at TF UKCon earlier this year, but to the lovely Brad. But I do have War for Cybertron Kingdom Mirage on the left-hand side there, which I sold the Siege version to make way for this guy, and he looks pretty decent. I've got Generation 1 in the background there, who looks a little bit dated. I've got Classics Mirage here, who looks tall and spindly, not much chest or waist section to him. And in the front row, I've just got a plethora of various different Formula One racing transforming vehicles that we've had over the years. So the RID Spy Changers and combined Machine Wars variants of that Formula One race car, whatever it was called, Mirage and Skids probably. And then here we've got some GoBots. This is Slicks, who comes in a majority of different colors, actually comes in yellow, red, black. Got the yellow and the red version here for you to see. I just thought it'd be nice to see some Formula One race cars in robot mode and to showcase how good the Magic Square version looks in comparison. Just very quickly, some comparisons up against some other bots of the ilk. We've got the Legacy or Velocitron Cosmos. We've got Magic Squares, Rumble at the front there, New Ages, Shrapnel, Magic Squares Motormaster, the Impossible Toys Spike figure on the right there, spacesuit version, MechFans Toys RC next to the Super 7 Alpha Trion, and in the background we've got Legacy Drag Strip just as another F1 type racing car. Because they are here he is next to Magic Squares Menasor and the Legacy Menasor mode. It looks fantastic. Obviously we've got the iconic Formula One race car with some nice design strips on here. We've got the blue spoiler here at the front with the wings and the wheels popping out. We've got these silver accents here and across the front here. The steering wheel I mentioned earlier. We've got this piece here of the engine bay at the back here, all in silver. The blue wing at the back in that lighter blue plastic that I mentioned. And it tidies up quite nicely all the way around. There aren't any protruding parts. It just looks how he should, really. He does roll. Wheels are a little bit stiff, but they do roll. And there are a lot of tabs, as you probably saw during the transformation. It does need to be done in the right order, otherwise they won't go through correctly. But overall, the look is fantastic, and it has the Cytanes 26 and the right markings everywhere. So let's get some comparisons, shall we? So here we have Mirage and his counterparts in vehicle mode, and once again he looks the best. I put him next to Generation 1 because, let's be honest, that is still the de facto standard alt mode for Mirage and still looks fantastic. In fact, this is my replacement Generation 1 Mirage, which is nice and white and shiny. You can see the GoBots don't clean up so well. The Classics car looks kind of futuristic styling, and even the Kingdom vehicle, while looking a little bit more F1, is not quite there. And once again, I put drag strip in just for comparison. Okay, and here are a few comparisons with some third-party and Hasbro official figures for alt mode, and you can see that Mirage, as a Formula 1 sports car, is longer than an ambulance, is longer than Porsche 9, whatever he is, Jazz, sitting on some jet skis. Not quite as long as Voyager class Ironhide, the Earthrise mold, and not quite as, probably about as long as the G2 accelerator we have here in the foreground, not as long as Volt, and Magic Squares Cosmos for comparison. Right, so final thoughts then on the one and only Autobot spy Mirage, a great character from Generation 1 who didn't get enough limelight. He got a little bit in the War for Cybertron Netflix series, which was cool, and it was good to see that he got a toy of not just his Autobot mode, but also Decepticon mode and a hologram mode and so on and so forth. But ultimately, this is, in my opinion, the de facto best incarnation of the toy we've ever had.
Now that's the smartest thing you've said all day.
Way better than the Hasbro versions, which don't really do the character quite the justice that we would look for a Generation 1 incarnation. Even better than the G1 toy, even in the alt mode, I would say. The G1 toy is superb in the alt mode, but the robot mode on this guy blows that away. And yeah, you should pick him up. £31, an excellent figure. Whether you get him from Magic Square directly or from a retailer, doesn't really matter. Just get him. Anywho, for another week, I've been Rohan on Rohan's Corner. Hope you've enjoyed. Catch you again next week. Back to the studio.
Transformers, Rohan's in disguise.